You must change, you will catch a cold.
What care I for colds when there is such a man?
Are you a clever Lizzie Bennet, a passionate Marianne Dashwood, or a slightly spoiled but generous Emma Woodhouse? In her 6 published novels, Jane Austen created some of the most iconic female characters of all time.
I believe, Ma'am, I may safely promise you never to dance with Mr. Darcy.
Each complex heroine represents distinct strengths, motivations, and obstacles to overcome, some of which are laid out in the very titles of the books.
But you'll never forgive me. Just like Elizabeth, she was too proud.
Oh, I thought you hated Pride and Prejudice.
Or was she too prejudiced?
Thus, identifying which Austen character you're most like can help you see both what you're best at and which defining lesson you need to learn. Whether that's to rethink your snap judgments,
From the first moment I met you, your arrogance and conceit, your selfish disdain for the feelings of others made me realize that you were the last man in the world I could ever be prevailed upon to marry.
rein in your emotional nature,
I think that may be taking your romantic sensibilities a little far.
not be so open to influence,
I do not blame you, nor do I blame myself for having been guided by you.
or check your privilege.
I have none of the usual inducements of women to marry. Fortune I do not want. Employment I do not want. Consequence I do not want.
So, which Jane Austen heroine would you be? If you're new here, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell to be notified about all our new videos. Thank you so much to CuriosityStream for sponsoring today's video. Since you're watching this video, we know you have a curious mind. That's why we think you'll love CuriosityStream. It's the best way to access thousands of award-winning documentaries and nonfiction TV shows. Right now, they're offering our viewers a special deal. Just enter the promo code TheTake at checkout to pay $14.99 for the whole year. Pride and Prejudice's Elizabeth Bennet is many an audience's favorite, and with her infectious humor and honest integrity, it's easy to see why.
So what do you recommend to encourage affection?
Dancing. Even if one's partner is barely tolerable.
You might be a Lizzie if you're smart and you know it. Your confidence in your mind gives you a lot of self-assurance and makes you brave. But it can also make you a little too trusting of your first impressions.
I wouldn't dance with him for all of Derbyshire.
This is where the prejudice in Pride and Prejudice comes in. If you're a Lizzie, you need to work on your snap judgments.
Mr. Darcy looks at you a great deal, Lizzie. I cannot think why. Unless he means to frighten me with his contempt. I wish he would not come into society. He only makes people uneasy.
You're a somewhat impulsive person, and those instincts you pride yourself on might often be wrong. You might have a helping of your love Mr. Darcy's trademark pride as well.
Mr. Darcy, I can more easily forgive his vanity had he not wounded mine.
Which makes you slow to accept evidence that you're mistaken.
He fears that Mr. Wickham is by no means a respectable young man.
Does he know Mr. Wickham himself?
No, not at all.
Oh, then he's had his account from Mr. Darcy.
So you need to learn a little more humility and open-mindedness. You also need to work on your empathy. You're sort of an intellectual elitist, viewing only a select few who have the highest character or insight as worthy of your attention.
But your good opinion is rarely bestowed.
When someone is accepted into your inner circle, you exhibit exceptional loyalty.
I know that Jane would wish me to be with her. 3 miles in all that dirt? You'll not be fit to be seen. I shall be fit to see Jane, which is all I want.
But you may find it difficult to be patient with people who don't have your strong sense of self or exceptional mind.
Lizzie, you do not make allowances for differences of situation and temper.
When Lizzie rejects Mr. Collins's proposal despite the fact that it could secure her family's future, this is gutsy and true to herself.
You could not make me happy, and I am convinced I am the last woman in the world who could make you so.
But she then finds it impossible to understand why Charlotte accepts him.
Engaged to Mr. Collins? Impossible.
Even though Charlotte's more pragmatic approach to marriage is completely valid too, in this era when securing a decent match was a career-like pursuit for most women.
I'm not romantic, you know. I never was. I ask only a comfortable home.
If you're a Lizzie, your ideal partner is someone who challenges you. They might be private and, like you, hold themselves to very high standards. You may not get off to a smooth start because they're not the easiest person to read.
May I ask to what these questions tend?
Merely to the illustration of your character, I'm trying to make it out.
Though wanting to fall in love can make you impatient and susceptible to superficial charms, time will tell when it comes to true love for you. Despite her jokes,
How long have you loved him? I must date it from my first seeing his beautiful grounds at Pemberley.
a Lizzie isn't motivated by money. If you're like her, the most important trait in your perfect match is someone who is very, very kind.
He's perfectly amiable. If you only knew his generous nature.
Ultimately, you're like Lizzie if, as logical as you consider yourself, you're invested in the idea of true romantic love and you won't settle.
I am determined that nothing but the very deepest love will induce me into matrimony.
Emma is rich, beautiful, smart, and entitled.
Not that one. The next.
In fact, Austen herself called her a heroine whom no one but myself will much like.
I'm not prejudiced.
Yes, but I am. Very much, without at all being ashamed of it.
But once Emma works through the issues that her privilege present, there is a lot to love about her.
He makes galoshes. He comes to Highbury next week on purpose to meet with me.
And I hope you will bring him to Hartfield.
If you're an Emma, you're admirably self-sufficient. When we first meet her, Emma's mother is dead and her older sister is married, meaning that she's already the mistress of the house she grew up in, taking care of her father.
Never could I be so important in a man's eyes as I am in my father's.
So she feels a lot of pressure to be a grown-up maternal figure to others. If you're a modern-day Emma, you might be in a position of management, and you might have the impulse to set yourself apart from other people or often feel like you don't need anyone else.
I believe few married women are half as much mistress of their husband's house as I am of Hartfield.
If you're an Emma, you love love, especially for other people. You enjoy nothing more than fixing up your friends.
The most beautiful thing in the world is a match well made.
This is evidence that you're both a romantic and an altruist. But it can also serve your ego and give you a power trip. And you should tread carefully because your matchmaking often ends disastrously.
I would never have thought of Mr. Knightley, you know, if you had not encouraged me.
Oh, God, that I'd never met her.
If you're an Emma, you'll do well if you focus more on yourself instead of others. But sometimes your preoccupation with improving or matching other people is a way of denying or distracting from your own feelings and needs, which you hide even from yourself.
I did not know it until poor Harriet said she had the hope of him returning her feelings, and then I felt ill, and I knew that no one must marry Mr. Knightley but me.
Even though you can recognize how much everyone else needs love, you seem to assume you're above this. But you have to learn that, in the most fundamental ways, you're just like everybody else. Meanwhile, the need for love isn't the only blind spot you have about yourself. If you're an Emma, what you need to work on most is checking your privilege.
If they were very poor, I might hope to be useful to them in some way, but a farmer can need none of my help, and is therefore as much above my notice as he is below it.
You might be mischievous and impulsive, making quick decisions that aren't necessarily grounded in anything concrete.
I'm ready to die if you refuse me.
You take me for my friend.
A message from Miss Smith. I never thought of Miss Smith in the whole course of my existence.
This is a tendency rooted in privilege. You get away with being insular, assuming you know best, not always taking the consideration to think deeply about how your actions really affect other people.
My blindness to what was going on led me to act in a way that I must always be ashamed of, but I have no other regret.
The truth is, while you're obviously very smart, you're not yet quite as mature or wise as you think. After all, one modern update to your story is titled Clueless.
I was wrong about Elton. I was wrong about Christian. Now Josh hated me. It all boiled down to one inevitable conclusion. I was just totally clueless.
You need to take care and learn more about the world around you before you assume you know everything. Over the course of the story, Emma becomes more self-aware, and she proves that you can overcome being out of touch or spoiled.
I have given them charity, but not kindness. A virtue which some friends may doubt I still have.
If you're an Emma, one of your defining strengths is being able to say sorry and own it when you're wrong.
I have caused you great suffering, as I have also caused the suffering of my friend.
As Austen knew, people might be put off by an Emma at first, but once they get to know her, they're likely to fall in love with this multi-talented, exceptionally generous person. Your ideal partner is honest, deeply moral, and maybe likes to give you a hard time.
You must never flatter me in front of Mr. Knightley, Harriet. He thinks me vain enough already.
You can be intimidating, so you need to be with someone who isn't afraid of you, who will tell you when you've done something wrong.
Better to be without sense altogether than to misapply it as you do.
You like someone who can joke with you, sometimes at your expense.
Mr. Knightley loves to find fault with me, you know.
Oh dear.
In a joke, it is all a joke.
And you may find that you've been friends with your perfect match for some time before you realize they're the one.
As a friend, Emma, that, I fear, is a word. My dearest Emma, the dearest you will always be.
Sense and Sensibility's Marianne Dashwood embodies the sensibility in her story's title, a quality defined as refined or excessive sensitiveness in emotion and taste.
To love is to burn, to be on fire, to die for love? How can you say so? What could be more glorious?
If you're like Marianne, you're highly intuitive and passionate. Marianne is a lot like Lizzie or Emma in her intelligence and romanticism.
Who is reading Shakespeare's sonnets?
Marianne. But whereas Lizzie's self-identity is based foremost on her sharp mind, Marianne embodies the heroine who lives by her feeling heart. She's full of youth and vitality.
Is there any felicity in the world superior to this? I told you it would rain. There's some blue sky. Let us chase it.
Marianne is obsessed with her own concept of what love is, one she derived from books and poetry.
Love is not love, which alters when it alteration finds or bends with the remover to remove. It is
an ever-fixed mark.
She finds it difficult to understand her older sister Eleanor's less overtly passionate displays of love.
If I had more shallow feelings, I could perhaps conceal them as you do.
If you're a Marianne, you're defined by your openness. You aren't interested in hiding your feelings. If you're drawn to something or someone, you throw yourself in with your whole heart and don't care who knows it.
Mr. Willoughby can be in no doubt of your enthusiasm for him.
Why should he doubt it? Why should I hide my regard?
If you're a Marianne, you do what you want to do too, acting as you see fit, with little care of how other people perceive you.
It has already exposed you to some very impertinent remarks.
If the impertinent remarks of such as Mrs. Jennings are proof of impropriety, then we are all offending every moment of our lives.
But you need to work on your infectious nature. Certainly, your openness makes people like you a lot. You're lovable, and when you're happy, it makes those around you happy. Unfortunately, though, your sadness is infectious too. And there's no in-between for your emotions.
Willoughby. Willoughby.
You'll do well if you are willing to check your impulses and listen more to your very intelligent mind. You're governed by your emotions, but that doesn't mean you're unable to self-reflect.
If his present regrets are half as painful as mine, he will suffer enough.
You're often attracted to people who aren't good for you. Perhaps people who share your intense nature, or who make or imply promises they can't keep.
Did he tell you that he loved you?
Yes. No. Never absolutely. It was every day implied, but never declared.
But your ideal partner counters your impulsive, passionate tendencies. What you really need is someone calm, generous, and rational who will weather storms with you and take things slowly. Though the right person may not directly share your interests, they will make an effort to enjoy them with you and derive joy from seeing you happy.
At last I have found a small enough instrument to fit the parlor.
He must like you very much.
Lizzie, Marianne, and to a degree Emma all follow a certain mold. The smart romantic idealist who admirably demands the most out of life, but who still might have a little growing up to do when it comes to maturely understanding the nuances of the world as it is.
I've been so blind.
This broader character type may have something in common with Austen herself, while there's another strand of heroine who may have been inspired by Austen's older sister Cassandra. a character who's understated and self-sacrificing, defined more by her sense of responsibility and tendency to hold back emotion.
Always resignation and acceptance. Always prudence and honor and duty. Eleanor, where is your heart?
This second type of Austen heroine is embodied by eldest sisters Jane Bennet and Eleanor Dashwood, and Persuasion's Anne Elliot, who is a middle daughter but with a vain, selfish older sister who's not offering her much guidance. They have reserved, calm, and kind personalities, but beneath their stoic exteriors, they may be hiding forceful, pure feeling and deep love.
Believe me, Marianne, had I not been bound to silence, I could have produced proof enough of a broken heart, even for you.
If you're an Eleanor or a Jane, you're known for being prudent and not putting all your cards on the table.
But Eleanor, your heart must tell you.
In such a situation, Mamma, it is perhaps better to use one's head.
At first glance, Eleanor Dashwood is the sense to her younger sister Marianne's sensibility. But as the story progresses, we learn that doesn't mean she doesn't feel just as much.
What do you know of my heart? For weeks, Marianne, I've had this pressing on me, without being at liberty to speak of it to a single creature.
Meanwhile, Lizzie is ready to happily shirk her responsibility to marry for money because she assumes her older sister Jane is up to the task.
One of us at least will have to marry very well. And since you were quite 5 times as pretty as the rest of us and have the sweetest disposition, I fear the task will fall on you to raise our fortunes.
But she fails to consider what a weight this must be for her sister.
You think I'm to follow in your footsteps, sister? Can there be a more dreadful fate?
You do know that I am setting the standard for your future matches, yes? You should be grateful.
If you're an Eleanor or a Jane, one of your defining strengths is your kindness. Both characters are beloved and idolized by their sisters for their goodness.
I could never be as happy as you. Till I have your goodness, I can never have your happiness.
If you're this type, you behave carefully, not wanting to harm anyone through reckless actions, which gains people's respect and makes more impulsive people wish to emulate you.
Do you compare your conduct with his?
I compare it with what it ought to have been. I compare it with yours.
You need to work on openness.
You neither of us have anything to tell. I because I conceal nothing, and you because you communicate nothing.
Both Eleanor and Jane are calm under pressure and find it easy to disguise their emotions, which can make them seem cold or unfeeling.
I did not detect any symptoms of peculiar regard. The serenity of her countenance convinced me that her heart was not likely to be easily touched.
But if you're an Eleanor or a Jane, you should remember that daring to share your feelings could be the difference between getting to be with the person you want and letting them slip away.
Your friendship has been the most important of my life.
You will always have it.
You thought me indifferent.
We first meet Austen's oldest heroine, Persuasion's Anne Elliot, when she is 27 years old, almost a spinster in the eyes of her society. She has a tragic backstory, having broken off an engagement with the love of her life as a youth, based on an older friend's bad advice.
You have an extraordinary ability to influence her, Mom, for which I find it hard to forgive you.
If you're an Anne, perhaps more than any other Austen character, you know what it is to really love, and to keep loving even when you think there's no chance of it being returned.
All the privilege I claim for my own sex is that of loving longest, when all hope is gone.
This talent for love applies not just to romance, but also to how you treat everyone in your life, with instinctive care, kindness, and going out of your way to make their lives better.
Never have I met her equal in good sense or sweetness of character.
If you're an Anne, one of your defining strengths is actually bravery, of a quiet, decidedly unflashy sort. You are stoic and take some time to find yourself, but once you do, you can be extremely courageous.
I am determined, and nothing, you may be sure, will ever persuade me otherwise.
If you're an Anne, you need to work on trusting yourself. You've learned the hard way that, as the title of your novel, Persuasion, emphasizes, it's not good to be too easily influenced by others.
To become engaged to a young naval officer who had no fortune and no expectations, you would indeed have been throwing yourself away.
When it comes to the most important decisions, only you know what's best for you. People might take you for granted and overlook your exceptional strength behind your shy and self-sacrificing exterior.
You want to marry Anne? Whatever for?
But you are a good judge of character. And if you ever feel pushed by friends or family into doing something you're not sure about, it's a good idea to step back and reflect. Your ideal partner is someone who's perceptive enough to see what a catch you are and not swayed by more superficial attractions. They're willing to wait, not too proud to try again.
I offer myself to you again with a heart even more your own than when you almost broke it 8 years ago.
And they know their own mind, just as they push you to be the self-assured person you are deep down.
What I desire above all in a wife is firmness of character, a woman who knows her own mind.
Catherine Morland is obsessed with reading, so if you're an Austen fan or a writer yourself, there's probably a lot of Catherine in you. If you're a Catherine, you're creative and have an excitable imagination.
If I understand you rightly, you have been suspecting my father of a crime so dreadful.
You said yourself the house was full of secrets.
Austen's youngest heroine is a little naive, and if you're a Catherine, you need to work on thinking things through before you act on your impulses. But you're incredibly clever and perceptive.
Your imagination may be overactive, but your instinct was true.
Your ideal partner is someone who can help you grow and learn, but also someone you can help to grow and learn.
I always hoped I'd be lucky. The girl I fell in love with would come with a fortune attached.
If she should not?
Then that would be a very stern test of my character.
Exceedingly timid and shy and shrinking from notice, Fanny Price is a heroine that confuses a lot of modern audiences. But she's also the heroine who experiences the most real financial hardship. And if you're a Fanny, your defining strength is resilience. You've endured a lot and you know what it's like to be treated as less than.
But I was the poor relation, and I was often made to feel it.
But because you've had to rely so much on yourself, you understand how important it is to be true to yourself. And you'll never do something just because it's what others think you should do.
You are in a wild fit of folly, throwing away from you such an opportunity at being settled in life.
You're not interested in being pursued or complimented.
You're infinitely my superior in merit. You have touches of the angel in you.
And you can see through fickle people.
It is your very changefulness that frightens me, Mr. Crawford.
Your ideal partner is someone who proves their worth by supporting you and taking care of you for a long time.
I've loved you all my life, as a man loves a woman, as a hero loves a heroine.
Looks as though they're finally getting somewhere.
One of the most wonderful things about Austen's writing is that she makes heroines of ordinary women, showing us that there's something special at the heart of everyone. Whether you're a Lizzie, an Emma, a Marianne, an Eleanor, a Jane, an Anne, a Catherine, or a Fanny, your strengths are what define you. And when you open yourself up to change, amazing things can happen.
My characters will have, after a little bit of trouble, all that they desire.
This is The Take. What do you want our take on next?
This video is brought to you by CuriosityStream, a streaming service that offers thousands of original and exclusive documentaries. They feature over 35 collections of curated programs that are handpicked by experts. And they also have incredible nonfiction TV shows and docs on everything from history to nature, science, food, technology, and travel. One series you can check out right now on CuriosityStream is Behind the Artist. In this series, interviews with artists, art historians, and curators illuminate new insights about artistic masters like Van Gogh and Picasso. Right now, CuriosityStream is offering our viewers 25% off annual memberships. Just click the link in our description below, curiositystream.com/thetake, and use the promo code THETAKE to sign up and receive a whole year of CuriosityStream for just $14.99.